psychic gallery for lunch. My name is Joanie, and I'm a healer, a channel, and a guide. What is that? A healer is someone who has abilities to bring in divine energy and to change the makeup of a person and to move them from one place to another. Could be emotional, could be physical, could be spiritual. I am a channel. Most people call them psychics. I have the ability to see and hear and know and feel. I can even sometimes taste and smell. And these are divine gifts that, I will tell you my story, these are gifts that came in around 2003, 4, 5. And I do this as being of service. And in terms of a guide, what is a guide? Oftentimes people come to me like that spiritual advisor and that counselor, and they ask questions and they want guidance. I used to be a therapist, so now I apply what I was trained to do, and now I'm in the spiritual arena, and I assist people, again, in moving forward. So I want to give you a little bit of a background of how I came to be doing this in a restaurant. I'm originally from Long Island. I have no idea whether they pump out mediums and such from Long Island. I don't know. I don't have nails. I cut them, and I have gray hair mixed in here. So I was a therapist. I was trained as a Gestalt therapist as well. I was a therapist for 10 years in New York City, and I work with alcoholics and addicts, and I also work with the mentally ill in day treatment. I didn't believe any of this. I thought this was complete bunk, that this was a sham, and that the people who said the word aura and chakra were either sociopaths, delusional, or they wanted my money. So I stayed away from people like this. I knew no one like this. I also had many medical problems. I had tests and surgeries and illnesses starting at age 1. So I had the top New York City doctors, scripts up the wazoo, and people would ask me who were the best doctors in the city, and I was giving out numbers. I had strange sensitivities to things outside of foods and, let's say, perfume. I started developing a sensitivity to newsprint and tires and new finish on clothing. I couldn't go into stores unless I kind of knew whether they got in new shipments. It got very, very bad. I would get brain fog. In 2003, I developed anaphylaxis, which is where your throat closes up. And this was at the town pool, and after that incident, and mind you, no, I didn't die and have a near-death experience, my throat closed up, but at that point I could only go in public places with a mask on. So if you ever see people who wear masks, oftentimes they have environmental illness or they have a sensitivity to chemicals. I don't think most of the people who are wearing masks are psychotic. I think most of them have sensitivities. They might also have asthma. So it got very, very bad, and I became sensitive to all medicine. I couldn't take any medicine, and at one point I could only eat 2 foods. I became allergic to the outside air. I was homebound for 6 months, and I couldn't open up windows or doors. So at that point, as Rosanna Dana would say, I was going to die. And it was like this. This is called a dark night of the soul. So if anyone has heard of that, this is a moment in one's life, and I have had several of them before actually, where you go into this place of existential angst and you wonder about life and death, and you wonder about whether you're going to make it. And so I was on a message board with people who from around the world were writing to this message board about having chemical sensitivities, and they were very scientific about it. They did nothing about spiritual healing, but someone directed me to an integrative doc, an integrative MD, where he had one foot in convention, the other foot in natural. He did all that he could, and then he said, you should really see this chiropractor who's doing energy medicine. He specializes in MCS, multiple chemical sensitivities. Well, how does that work? He lives about 15 minutes away from me, and he specializes in what I have, and I'm gonna die. Took 5 phone calls to trust this man, and I'm coming from that shrink, the LCSW shrink mind. How am I gonna let someone do energy when this thing is bunk? but I'm gonna die anyway, so I might as well try this out. He comes to my house, which is unheard of, because there's that whole liability thing with people. And he starts doing muscle testing, which you can look up, applied kinesiology, and he starts doing energy medicine, and I start healing. So during this time, he goes, have you heard of Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay? And I hadn't really, I kind of saw these as PBS special folks that walked around on stage on Channel 13 in bare feet. And again, I'm not going to listen to them. Leo Biscaglia was very big. I wouldn't go near the guy because there was something as if he had drunk the Kool-Aid, and I wasn't going near anyone that sounded outside of convention. Now, I lovingly call myself Joanie the Jew. Yes, I do. I'm not religious anymore. I was hardcore. My dad is a Holocaust survivor, and I developed this very strong sense of religion. I was going to be the Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, that if my child married outside, I would turn my back and never speak to them again. And I wanted to read Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, and Louise Hay, and I did. So I'm reading about Jesus, and I'm going, okay, well, I like what I'm reading here. Mind you, I'm not a missionary. This isn't a Jews for Jesus meeting. And I'm going, okay, well, this is really good stuff, because in my denomination, Reformed Judaism, we were talking about him. I thought everyone had drunk the Kool-Aid and it was a cult. We didn't talk about Jesus. And then I'm reading about Mother Teresa and Buddha and the like. I'm reading about them all. And things start happening to me, which was really neat, and I didn't know. And by the way, I kept reading. I went deeper. I started reading about souls and pre-birth planning, and reincarnation, and healing with color and sound, and automatic writing, and I can't get enough of this. My son had reactive airways, which is like a low-level asthma. He would have a nebulizer with the medicine in it. You put the mask on, and it opens up your bronchial passageway. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to try this. So I put my hands on either side of my son's chest, and the energy started coming out of my hand, and I felt warmth. And I wasn't touching him. I felt it when it was away from his chest. I closed my eyes. I saw white light. I said, please heal this child of God, which wasn't anything that I would have said. And he stopped coughing. And then that went on for a while. That's called healing hands. Then I thought, well, my energy guy is doing remote healing, which means he would be somewhere else, and he would heal me from a distance. I would be anaphylactic. I'd just ring his cell phone, and he'd treat me. And then my throat would open up. So I thought, well, I'm going to try remote healing on my kid. So in the middle of the night, if he had bronchitis, lazy mom, if any of you are very tired from sleep deprivation, when your kid is sick or very young, you don't necessarily want to get out of bed. So I shoved my hand out from under the pillow, the energy came out of my hand, I put out the intention, that's a key word, that he would stop coughing, and he did. And it started like this. Then people started saying that they lost departed ones and pets. And I started getting them. Now, I knew how to do that. That was kind of wild. Mind you, I didn't believe in any of this, but I wasn't afraid. So at this point, with the reading, and what was happening with the healing, it was all setting a stage, again, for why I'm here today. And somehow my Joanie spirit knew to move herself over to the side. And I would bring in a soul. And if any of you have ever had wine on an empty stomach, where you get that heady, buzzy feeling, that's the way it felt at first. I felt a little bit heady. And there were two types of channeling I did, light trance channel and deep trance. And the light trance channeling was where their voice went through me and I got the message. And also the deep trance channeling was where they actually took over. And I wasn't afraid. I just put up my parameters and my blocks, so I had protection. And they actually were looking through my eyes, and they inhabited me. My Joanie was still there. She knew what was going on the whole time. And then even there might have been some mannerisms too. And then it went on. I put pen to paper. I thought, well, I'm going to try this now. If anyone has seen David Letterman, Stupid Human Tricks, that's what I was about at that point. Like, let's see about the list. and mind you, they're very holy, but I'm the casual psychic if you haven't figured at this point. And so I would put pen to paper and I got a message. And it was from my guide. He called himself David. And the first piece that I wrote was very shrinky-dink. Of course, coming through me, having been the social worker, the clinical social worker, it was like a counseling piece. I connected with a guy in South Africa who put me up on a message board, and I started putting up David's guidance pieces. And in addition, people from all over the world would write and ask David questions, and then I would go in on my time and I would answer them. So this went on for a while, and then it got more psychedelic, and I started being able to see into bodies and do psychic surgery. No, I'm not a doctor. Please see your specialist if you have any medical problems. This is for entertainment purposes only. So I started doing psychic surgery, and then I became gifted with many, many abilities. I went to hear someone speak, and they channeled a consciousness called cosmic awareness, who said to me, this voice through this soul said to me, don't pass up any book signings. I thought that was very funny. I had no designs on being an author. And half a year later, within a 2-week period, many, many people said, you have to write this book, you have to write this book, you have all of these David's guidance pieces, put it out there. Within that period when I started putting it out there, my guide David outed himself as Yeshua, or Jesus. Okay, well, what does Joanie the Jew make of this? Okay, I figured that if Yeshua had come through a year plus before, I wouldn't have been ready for that. It would have been, I would have laughed. But at that point I understood, and this is my, by the way, when I share, this is my truth. I don't impose this on anyone. This is just for you to take, and either you bring it in, you shelve it, or you trash it. This is all, you do what you want with this. Many people channel Jesus or Yeshua. Many people are able to do this. And so in October, I think, of 2012, I published David's Guidance. And it goes on from there. I started doing this professionally. I live in Berkeley Heights, so I do readings and healings by phone and in person and Skype. I do radio, 2 on Blog Talk, 1 on Soul Luminous. I do this work in restaurants. I've worked in spas, I'm at a hair salon, I do festivals and the like. In 2013, I co-authored a book called The Chakra Journey, and just this past April, I co-published with 2 other friends, Carry Me Crystals. So this is all up here. They're available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So to fast forward to today, why do I do this? I feel that I have no choice. And you might meet other light workers. We call ourselves light workers, people that bring in light and love and such. Why do we do this? To help with the awakening. This is a very auspicious time in Earth's history. Many, many people's veils are thinning, and they're coming to realize that they might have more knowing, more feeling, more sensing, more hearing than they realize, that different events are occurring that are inexplicable, and that there's more than what they see before them, that people are able to pierce through and connect with other realms, that they see angel numbers, they're seeing license plates, and there are meanings, that there are synchronicities that are happening, that people are saying just the right thing at the right time, but it feels as though something greater brought them to that meeting. So that's why I'm here. So regarding today, what would this be like? I'm going to have anyone, they'll just raise their hand and ask a question. Any question is on the table. Regarding channeling a departed one, I do not channel like the Long Island medium. She tends to give a certain type, I call it a nail. That's your Aunt Sadie, and she's wearing this, and that was the secret handshake, and this is what happened in this lifetime. If you ask for a person, I might possibly get them from another lifetime where you knew them. I might also get them different from the way you remember them here. And to explain that, when we come into a lifetime, we might present ourselves as the clown, as the jester, but that could be a facade, a persona to have that experience. And then when we go home, we might return to our true essence, let's say that of a stoic one, or a peaceful, quiet, angelic type. So what you will hear might sound different. So I always say, you know, if you want mediumship, you're going to have a different experience with me. Mediumship with me is where you'll get messages from that soul regarding how they're doing, why you were with them. You can ask, well, did we do our work together? Some people want to know why they missed their passing, why they weren't there during the time that they left, or why did they leave so soon? They were so young. Are they with so-and-so? How many lifetimes was I with this soul? I give that type of information. I do answer questions regarding people's pets and children. And I'm known to be a healer, so if people have any questions regarding their energy, I am able to do this as well. Sometimes if a person asks about something that's going on, I might take them back to another lifetime, which I do very, very quickly. I don't do past life regression if people have heard that, where you take someone through a meditation to get to a certain place to learn where they were. I just do it very quickly, and I don't have the person go there themselves. I just go there, and that's where we meet. And I give not only information regarding the other lifetime, but I also might go in and do a healing on you when you were expecting a reading. So it's all part of the package. My friend Brenda is here, and she's filming me. So I just want to share that no one's faces will be filmed. This is from a new website of mine that's being created, so I need footage. Do people have any questions about how this afternoon will be? I will be educating you. I will not be talking over your head. I will be explaining terms. If anyone doesn't understand what their reading is, or if they have a question about someone else's regarding the concept or the term, just throw it out there and just ask. If anyone can't see, flip your chairs. Just feel very comfortable. Just flip around and do what you have to do. So with that, I will ask, does anyone have any questions? Who would like to go first? And be careful of the microphone cord too. Yep. Okay. What is your name?
Danielle, what's your question?
I don't want to know about
I just want to know if I have anybody around me and if I can hear from somebody, or I'm going through some issues, you know, in life, and I just want to know where that's going to lead.
Okay. Now, this is also to explain regarding how the Long Island medium is different from myself. Is that I could get so many souls from all different lifetimes right now that would push themselves forward. So instead, do you have anyone in particular that you'd like to get?
I like to hear from my sons.